right into chapter 9. All right. So, part of chapter 9, we're going to talk about market segmentation. How many of you have heard or have kind of, hold on, I don't think I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. How many of y'all have heard of the term market segmentation? Soraya, okay. What does it mean? What do you think? What do you remember? Who has taken Mr. Pacone's marketing class? Ooh, I'm gonna tell him you don't know what market segmentation is.
Actually, okay, so from bar management,
Okay,
so like a particular area, like what your clientele is like in that area.
good. Okay, what the clientele is like in that area. Good. Absolutely. What is the root word of segmentation?
Segment.
Segment, right? So we're gonna basically break up our market into different segments. Okay. And so our segments are typically things that you're gonna find on a like your demographics gonna be things that you're gonna find on the census, like your census data. We also are gonna look at kind of the behavioral traits of people, the different interests that they have. Um, all of these things are ways for us to segment the market. Okay. We also have, so you might hear this a lot when you go into other meetings in different association settings. We'll talk about the San Antonio market. We'll talk about the Dallas market. We'll talk about the New York City market, right? That is basically they're talking about how do you define the market, the area, the businesses in that area, and the people as well. Okay. So we're going to talk about these different market segmentation variables as we go through the presentation today. But think about how we segment, how we put these people into different categories, essentially. Okay. We already talked about group travel versus business travel versus transient, right? Those are all different markets that we might go after. Okay. Don't know why. I have my shoulder dates listed there. Hold on. That's odd. How do I? Here. There we go. All right. So geographic traits. Basically, where are people coming from? In San Antonio, we have this concept called our drive market. Where do you think would be included in San Antonio's drive market? Houston, Austin, possibly Dallas. We are Texas, so we're used to driving long distances. The drive market is essentially think about an area that's easy enough to drive in for one day, right? So Dallas, Austin, Houston, Fort Worth, the coast, absolutely, right? So driving up from the coast to San Antonio to go to Six Flags for the day is not an unreasonable thing, right? Um, it was interesting. One year during Labor Day, yeah, Labor Day, Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, right? And that was a really devastating hurricane for Houston because it just sat, it didn't move and dumped all that water, right? So major flooding. And it happened right before Labor Day weekend. And so I was walking downtown one day to a meeting and I saw the owner of one of the restaurants, the longtime restaurants on the Riverwalk. And I asked him how he was doing, and he was like, you know what? not so great. He was like, I looked at the data from last year, and 80% of our credit cards that were swiped in our restaurant on Labor Day weekend last year had a Houston zip code. First of all, I was like, you can track people's zip codes when you swipe their credit cards? It's like, I did not realize that. Second thing was, that then told him, how many people from Houston do you think are coming out for Labor Day weekend in San Antonio that year? They're trapped in the city, first of all, and they're also taking care of their homes in in the sense of emergencies, right? So that kind of gave him an idea of what his Labor Day weekend is going to be like because the drive market just wasn't going to be there, right? And so geographically, how do we try to get people from these other cities to come to San Antonio? What kind of marketing can we do for our hotel? What things are the city of San Antonio themselves, like Visit San Antonio, what are they doing to promote tourism and the drive market, right? And so geographically, we can look to see who are the people that are coming to stay with us. And then if there's a target market that's not staying with us right now, okay, now let's develop a strategy of how are we going to promote to this particular market, this particular city to get people to come to us. So demographics are things that you're going to find on the census: gender, age, um, the family status, income bracket, education. So let's take a look and see what our demographics are like in other areas. All right. So we go to the census and we're going to do San Antonio. So as of July 1st, 2023, we've got approximately 1.5 million people living in San Antonio. We can see how the population has grown since April 2010. We can see the different age of the population. So a lot of our the race, the characteristics, the housing, number of people per household, 2.62. A lot of different information about that particular demographic. Anybody else want to look at somewhere else? It's gotta be in the US.
Dallas.
Dallas. Not Dallas, Georgia. All right, so in Dallas, 1.3 million people. You can see it kind of compared right here next to San Antonio. Persons under 5, 7%, under 18, 24. Look at the different race percentages, the housing. So the median value of the house is 295 versus San Antonio 219,000. The number of households. Okay. How do you think you might use this information from a hotel's perspective?
Like you would figure out kind of your location and then your pricing as well. Like what price would people be able to afford and
Yeah.
what you would be able to afford to set your price.
Absolutely. Based on what kind of hotel you're operating, how can you use that at the target market that you're going after? Are they able to afford the hotel rooms, right? Let's do one more city that's not in Texas.
Boston.
Boston? Boston, Massachusetts. That's where my dad grew up. What's that? Massachusetts? That's how you say it, right?
Massachusetts.
Let her say it. Let Sarah say it. Say it, Sarah.
Mm-mm.
Say it.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Okay. So Boston has 653,000 people. So that's like, I mean, that's half the size of San Antonio. Um, a little bit older population, 65, well, kind of in the middle. 15% under 18. Um, the median value of the house is 710,000 compared to Texas, 295 and 219. Um, what's up, Sarah?
Question, when they do these things for each city or whatever, how do they base it off of people that are in the military? Do they take it? Because I know they also travel.
That's a good question. I don't know how they do that. Is there a military? Let me just see. Um, military. There isn't any military demographics on here. That's interesting. Um, I'm sure that would, especially in a city like San Antonio, that would change frequently. It would ebb and flow. Yeah.
So from my experience, they would typically only do the census for whatever your home of record state is. So I would
Okay.
always have to I would get mail like, hey, it's time for you to do the census. Then they'll give me a little paper. I fill it out, mail it back. But it doesn't matter what state you're in. It matters what state is on your home of record.
Your home of record. Okay, interesting. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Yes, this page was helpful. Let's give them some feedback. Okay. So demographics. This also like families. Are we gonna target family vacations? Are we going to target single individuals? Who are we going to target? What type of guest? What demographic are we going to do? Psychographic traits are basically things that aspects of our hotel that aligns with the personality traits of our guests. Okay. I just saw a post on LinkedIn, I think yesterday. The Courtyard Riverwalk just received some designation as a green hotel, meaning that they are doing something substantial in sustainability to get that designation. And so that's going to resonate to people that are environmentally conscious, that are looking for that particular type of thing. Hotels like out in the Maldives, right? So in the Maldives, out in the middle of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, I think they're in the Atlantic Ocean, somewhere between here and Europe, right? Or Africa, somewhere between
It's in
us.
Asia.
Asia, okay. So I have no idea where the Maldives are, apparently. But the you are targeting people that are usually on honeymoons, people that are wanting to get away because you're literally in the middle of the ocean in your room, walk out onto a pier, and then you're on your room, and then you're out there enjoying the water, enjoying the nature, right? So those are different psychographic traits, different personality traits about the people that you are attracting. Weston has a really cool, Weston is really known for its wellness. As far as a brand. So people that are looking for wellness, Weston is a good brand. One of the things I think is really cool about Weston is they partnered with, I want to say it's New Balance, but it might not be New Balance. They've partnered with a fitness brand. And they essentially, you can rent running shoes, shorts, and a shirt so that if you're traveling for business and you don't want to have to carry on luggage and take up room in your luggage for your exercise clothes and your exercise shoes, then you can actually rent that from Weston. And then they give them back and they clean them and they get them ready for the next person. Sarah does not look impressed with that feature. They're sanitized, they're clean, they're washed. But then pack your own stuff. But for people that, I mean, if you, especially if you travel a lot, if it means one less thing for you to pack, it means that you can just walk on the plane and walk off with your carry-on instead of having to check a bag. That could be a huge, I want to say it's like $10 or $15 a day that you can rent that, and then just give it back. Yeah.
They partnered with Reebok and Peloton.
Okay, Reebok and Peloton. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so the behavioral traits. We also want to look at the behavioral traits of the market that we're going after. Okay, so how are they buying? Are they buying a month out? Are they buying within a week? What is the buying time frame that people are making reservations? Because remember, think about how we talk about that identical net revenue, that's that tactical advantage of if I lower my rate, what's going to happen? If you go back and look and the majority of your people are buying things within the week, um, then then you may not be as worried if it's 2 weeks out and your occupancy isn't very high. If you're a week out and your occupancy is still low, we have a phrase called in the week for the week, which basically means they're gonna make a reservation in the week for that week. And so if we have that's the buying habits of our clientele, then we may not be too terribly stressed when our occupancy is low. Yeah.
How would you base it off of, I guess, the hotels towards the Lackland area? Because I know with Lackland, they have graduation every Thursday.
Right.
So would it be that the parents are buying it like as soon as they go off to basic and then?
No, I mean I would assume that they would make their reservation as soon as they know when their family member is going to graduate. I don't know. Do you know that when you go into basic when your graduation date is? Then maybe they do. I don't know. That's a really good question. To see what the buying habits of individuals are for that particular time. And so like that's a really good example. If you are a hotel that's near Lackland Air Force Base, then you probably want to have a really good relationship with the people who are planning the graduations every week. So you may want to go talk to them and invite them to come to your hotel and see what the rooms are like and say, you know what, this is a rate that we can give all of your guests that are coming for graduation. Just have them call our hotel, use this, say that they're part of this group, and they'll give them this particular rate, right? So that might be something another good way to market and position yourself within that market of San Antonio. So price sensitivity basically responds to how our guests, our potential guests will respond to the change in our prices. Okay. Now I'm going to be 100% transparent and with you guys. I have zero understanding of how price elasticity works. Okay. I did not do well in economics. And I still don't quite understand it. Okay. But if our room revenue, if we increase our rate and our room revenue, I don't even know how to explain it to you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna try. This is something I just do not understand and I cannot get for the life of me. Maybe tomorrow when I go to Sala, I'm gonna ask somebody at my table to explain price elasticity. It has to do with basically the availability of people's discretionary income. You know what? Let's do this. Let's do something that I just learned recently. Here we go. How sensitive the demand for hotel rooms is to changes in their prices. In other words, it measures how much the quantity of rooms demand changes when the price of rooms increases or decreases. Um, let's see if this works. Imagine you want to stay at a hotel for a night, but the price of the rooms can change depending on how much people want to stay there. Is about how much the price of the room affects how many people want to stay there. Okay, so that kind of makes somewhat more sense about supply and demand. So the more people want to stay there, the higher the price is going to be because our supply is going to shrink. But if a lot of people don't want to stay, people aren't traveling, then our price is going to be lowered to try to attract people to travel. That makes a little more sense. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have recorded that because that's going to be. I probably should let one of my coworkers watch this lesson and rate my teaching style. Just kidding. Everything you can't be perfect in everything. But this one right here, this one, the income elasticity and what we call cross elasticity, this does make sense to me. Okay. So income elasticity means that as people have less and less discretionary income, they're going to be traveling less and less. So that's our hotel prices are going to be affected by that. Okay. Cross elasticity basically means if there's another product that is also changing in price. So, for example, if airline prices start going up, then that's going to impact our hotel prices and the occupancy in the hotels because if the airline prices are going up, then people aren't going to be traveling to our city. So, if airline prices are going up, we may want to focus on our drive market versus the airline market. Or there was a time, what was it? I think like maybe 2021, maybe. It was 21 or 22, I can't remember. No, it was 22 for sure. Um, so I take a road trip every summer. I try to take at least a 2.5 to 3 week road trip every summer. And in 2022, gas was almost $5 a gallon. So like I'm not gonna go and do 1,000 mile road trip if gas is $5 a gallon, right? And so that impacted my travel, but it also impacted a lot of other travel as well. And actually, I was in a board meeting for the San Antonio Visitor Alliance, and SeaWorld sits on that board. And the president of SeaWorld, he was talking to somebody, talking to like the group and like just in general. And he mentioned that like way before the pandemic, right? I think it was like in 2008 when the last recession was kind of hitting. They did a kind of a survey of their guests to see what is that magic number of price per gallon that it starts affecting their drive market attendance from Houston, Austin, and the coast. And it was at $5 a gallon. And so that summer, I think it was like 4 something a gallon, which is something we don't normally see in San Antonio. And so 4 something a gallon, and they looked at their attendance from those drive markets, and it significantly decreased compared to other years when the gas prices were a little bit more reasonable. So that's what that cross elasticity means is there's other products that also might impact the travel to that area. So you always want to figure out what is your position in the market. So you're a hotel in San Antonio. What is your position in the market and how is that going to position you to market your hotel to your potential clients? So I don't a friend of mine, she used to own the Comfort Suites down here. It's on this side of I-37 of 281. She built that hotel, so she was part of the design to part, and it was a comfort suite, so it's part of that brand, right? But she specifically put more double rooms than king rooms in her hotel. Okay. And she knew from the very beginning she wanted to market herself, she wanted to position herself in the San Antonio market as a hotel for like high school groups, cheer groups, sports teams, all those different types of groups, because you could always put just one person in a room with 2 beds, but you can't always put 4 people in a room with only 1 bed. So she was very strategic when she built her hotel to put more doubles than kings. right? And so that was kind of the position that she wanted to go. Plus, she's walking distance from the Alamo Dome and the convention center. So it made sense that there's a big cheer convention, big competition. She wants them staying at her hotel. So you want to figure out what is your position in the market, okay? To be able to help you figure out how you're going to promote your hotel to your clientele, okay? Occasionally, we do have to reposition or rebrand, okay? We can go down market or up market. What do you think it means to reposition down market? What do you think that means? So we pick up our hotel and just move it down the market? No. If we are a full service hotel, we might downsize to a limited service or select service hotel, right? We might change our brand, or we might just change the level of service, or vice versa, up market. So for example, the what's the hotel we did a tour? The Soul Cypress, right, is now I think a Tribute by Marriott brand, right? It's a little bit nicer than it was when it was the Wyndham Garden Inn on the Riverwalk. And so they did an upmarket transition and renovation to make their hotel a little bit nicer. Allows them to go after a different clientele, allows them to offer a different room rate, a little bit higher room rate, okay? And so, but sometimes you're in an area and you know what? Your hotel, either it's going to cost a lot of money to keep it at this level, or maybe just a little bit less money and you're going to downsize, go down a one level of service, right? And that's okay. It's not horrible. It just means you're going to be going after a different clientele, okay? And then also hotels that change brands all the time, okay? There's one hotel in particular. We used to have the Westin La Cantera Resort. So I don't know how many years ago they dropped the Westin flag, and it's just the La Cantera Resort. It's an independent hotel. Okay. Um, we also have, let's take a look at so the Intercontinental Hotel, which is this hotel right here, downtown, has the big Intercontinental Hotel logo. Intercontinental Hotel is the same IHG hotel group, Intercontinental Hotel Group. That's Holiday Inn, Holiday Inn Express. This is like their luxury brand. This was the Wyndham Hotel a few years ago. Before that, it was the Adams Mark Hotel. Before that, it was something else. I can't remember what it was before that. But this hotel has changed brands all the time, quite a bit, right? So there are hotels that change brands, and just like Soul Cypress is changing from IHG, which is the Wyndham, to our Wyndham Hotel Group, sorry, not IHG, Wyndham, to now Marriott. It's a Marriott brand. Okay. So hotels change brands all the time. And that's part of their strategy to attract a different clientele. How do we sell? How do we promote our product to different individuals and different types of guests? How have y'all seen different advertisings for hotels? Yeah.
So actually, I saw on TikTok, I saw it was an ad. I forgot the hotel, but it was branding for it was an influencer or whatever, talking specifically about, oh, you can rent gym equipment here. And
Okay.
that's why I like it because I with my carry-on and blah blah blah. And then Southwest just lost their free luggage for
Yeah,
brand
it's a little
affiliation,
still still sore subject.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see how that impacts their their brand. Southwest, you have to pay for your first bag. You have to pay for your bags now on Southwest. So yeah, cool. So you saw it on TikTok, and that was advertised through an influencer. Yep. Okay. Awesome.
Kind of same situation, but it was with the singer Halle Bailey.
Okay.
And she was promoting, I think it was a point system. I forgot which hotel, but yeah.
Okay. So like the frequent stay program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Excellent. So advertising is one way we can do that. Different promotions. So for the sales team can go out to different businesses and say, hey, your office is right next to ours. Do you guys ever do any kind of group meetings, office outings? Do you need to get away from the office and come have a meeting in our hotel? So those different sales promotions. That also is kind of in line with personal selling. And then any kind of communication with our past guests. I stayed, you went to TTA with me, right? Yeah. So we went to Texas Travel Alliance. We stayed at the Sonesta, and now I'm getting all these advertisements for Sonesta in emails, right? And Sonesta is another branded hotel. Customer relationship management, CRM. So this is something that you are going to see a lot. For those of you who work in hotels, every time someone has a profile, right? Like their phone number, their address, what their preference is. Do they like a high floor? Do they like away from the elevator? All of that is managed by your CRM, your customer relationship management. Hold on. Yeah, I'm in class. Sorry. I thought I hit not answer. I was like, what is that noise? That was Chef Brandy. But with our CRM, we can go back and look and see, okay, who were my clients that they had a meeting with us, but they haven't been back to us in a long time. Right? So this person had a meeting with us in 2022. Well, let me call them and ask them where they're doing their meetings since 2022. It's 2025. Where have you gone the last 3 years? When are you coming back to San Antonio? Right? It may be like an example, organization that I work with, the Hospitality Educators Association. They're on a 4-year rotation. So every 4 years we come back to San Antonio. And so whoever is our previous hotel kind of keeps that in the back of their mind. And so in about 2 or 3 years, they're going to call and say, hey, have you started talking about San Antonio 2027 yet? Because I've got some room on my calendar. Do you want the same dates? That kind of thing, right? So we can go back and look and see who are our best customers, what makes them our best customers, why do they come back to us over and over again? Okay. How do I keep them? And then also, how do I get more people like them? How do I get more people that like to come to stay at my hotel? They're associations. They are weddings. How do I get more people weddings are really popular in my hotel for whatever reason? How do I get more people to come and do their wedding at my hotel? Okay. And so we can find all that out by our customer relationship management, our CRM system. And that kind of goes into our property management system. All right. The market mix and our management factors, we want to look and see what are some things about our hotel that allows us to attract certain guests. So that bed configuration, that's what I was talking about with the comfort suites. How many kings do we have versus how many doubles? How many suites do we have? If we're in Embassy Suites, we're an all-suite property. So that's good for families because parents can sleep in the bed, the little kids can sleep on the fold-out sofa sleeper on the couch, right? And so rather than getting 2 hotel rooms, when they travel, they only have to get 1 hotel room. And so maybe that hotel room's a little bit higher priced, but it's less than if they had to book 2 hotel rooms at a different property. Plus, Embassy Suites has your evening happy hour and free breakfast in the morning, right? So for families, that's a really good deal to not have to pay for breakfast. So we can figure out what is what about our hotel allows us to go after specific types of guests and clients? All right, any questions, comments, concerns about chapter 9? Breezing right through. All right, let's take. Oops.